It depends on how much they are struggling with their craft. It depends on if they're white or black. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to have a candid conversation with you around influencer culture. I don't even know where to start, but I'm going to do my makeup as we talk about this topic. And I want you to chime in the description below. And I want you to chime in the comments below because I feel like it's an important conversation to have. Are influencers truly happy? Girl, I'm going in today. So let me start my makeup. I think people see the post. People see the glamorous life. People see the lavish lifestyle. They see people hopping in and out of planes, and they really think that influencers are the happiest people in the world, luckiest people in the world, most financially stable people in the world. And I feel like that couldn't be any further than the truth. They think we're living la vida loca, but underneath it all, absolutely not. And for me personally, when people talk about how toxic influencer culture is, this is the part that I feel that is really toxic. Just giving that false narrative, life is good, life is perfect, life is an aesthetic, life is curated. I think that's really toxic because a lot of influencers are literally not themselves on these internet streets. And how can you be happy if you have a whole other personality that you are waking up and portraying every day that is so different than who you really are? You're so disconnected with yourself. How can you be happy? And there's a variety of reasons, I think, why that is, why people show up and feel like they can even be themselves, because there is an aesthetic that people do want to see online. And that's why I say it's kind of toxic, right? So you are stuck in this reality where you got to put on your face, as I'm putting on my makeup right now, where you got to put on your face to show up to your audience when that's not really who you are inside. Personally, I feel like that's crazy to me, okay? And as an influencer myself, I definitely see and understand where the pressure is coming from, why people feel the way that they do in terms of, from the influencer standpoint, why they feel that way and why they got to put up or show up in a certain way. Because at the end of the day, it's your business. It's what's going to pay the bills. It's what's going to make you successful, especially when it comes to tapping into an aesthetic that people want to see. Because at the end of the day, we can complain as much as we want, saying that influencers are ruining society and putting on a facade and making the younger generation feel like they're not good enough, or making people in general feel like they're not good enough. But it's like a catch-22, because when you're raw and open and honest online, people are like, girl, please stop crying. We get it. Life is hard. Influencing is not that hard. Keep it moving. We want to see the aesthetic. So you're stuck in between these two worlds where you can't really be yourself and you got to put on this facade for the public. But to go back to my question, are influencers really happy? And it's a very interesting one to answer, I think. I'm trying to keep my makeup pretty light today. I do have a few videos that I want to film, but I want to show up as myself. I don't want to do too much. So it's going to be like a quick little beat. Earlier this year, I had already planned or had it mapped out in my mind that I was going to quit my job and be a full-time influencer. What I started doing is educating myself a lot more in terms of influencer culture, reaching out to a bunch of other influencers to kind of get really their perspective on how they're making it work, and just get like a better education all around in the industry that I ultimately wanted to be a part of. And I had known from the very beginning that people can be very disconnected from themselves and their platforms. And that's something that I had told myself from the very beginning as well, when my platform started taking off, is that I always wanted to be myself online. So whatever was going on in my life, that's basically what I wanted to reflect. Obviously with some boundaries, there's some things that you just want to keep to yourself. You don't want to share with the world. I always knew that I wanted to remain authentic. I wanted to remain myself. I wanted to always be open and honest when it came to being online, because I think it was like 2013 when my platform started getting traction. And one thing that I realized from the very beginning is that everyone has an opinion, girl. And it's hard to navigate when you have all these opinions being thrown at you. People telling you what to do, how you should wear your hair, how you should show up, and ooh, you got a little pimple on your cheek and this and that. So having all of these opinions thrown at you can really make you question who you are, question how you're showing up, You start feeling self-conscious about things that you never even thought about. So for me, I knew I always wanted to remain myself. So I started reaching out to a lot of influencers to get a better education in this industry, but to also kind of prepare myself mentally as to what to come. And that's when I realized influencers really are not happy. Not all influencers, obviously. There's always the outliers. There are people that have figured out, cracked the code, so to speak, and know how to show up and have these strong lines, be themselves, yet still navigate the world of influencing. I'm not taking that away. There's people that just know what they're doing. There's people that have figured it out, of course. But if you want to tackle things from a financial point of view, depending on the type of influencer that you are or where you are in your journey, a lot of us are struggling and a lot of us are not happy. So I can speak from my experience as a natural hair influencer. Financially, it's very difficult to make this work. A lot of us get into the game thinking that we're just going to be this creative. The harder we work, the more successful we should be. In the real world, that's kind of like what they tell you to. Go to school, work hard, work your way up, and it should be okay. However, in this field, you quickly realize that you're building a whole business, okay? For me, for example, I don't have no business background. I didn't go to school for business. I went to school for biochemistry, girl. So imagine you get thrown into this world where it's a business world. The more successful influencers have more of a business mind. When you think about some of the channels that blow up, at least seemingly blow up overnight, they have a lot of strategic thinking and how they go about doing things. It's not just the content. Content is there too, but they're very business savvy and they're very strategic with what they're doing. So with me reaching out to a lot of these influencers, trying to get a better grip on reality, I guess, or a better grip on how the industry works, I quickly realized that a lot of us are sitting out here struggling. There's a lot of influencers right now that are crying in a dark room or that are screaming out loud in a room full of people and no one can hear them. It's very sad. A lot of us have multiple jobs to make this work or are barely afloat from a financial standpoint. And I shared this earlier this year that I quit my job to become a full-time influencer, and reality quickly set in and I became really depressed. Part of it was because I associated my confidence and my self-worth and basically who I am to what I was doing before, to my 9 to 5. So that had a huge role to play in terms of why I was depressed. But the other side was because financially speaking, it's difficult. And financially speaking, I've never been in a position where I have no idea where money's going to come from. And when I was working my 9 to 5, of course, it's more of a, you go to work, you have your regular paychecks coming in. I guess, what they call job security or whatnot. You have that and you have a better understanding of, okay, I'm going to make this much this year. I have this much coming in every week. So you can kind of plan ahead. And then once that was gone, it was a harsh reality that settled in for me because you really don't know where money's coming from unless you have, let's say, long-term partnership with brands or you have your own thing where you can predict what's gonna come in, but you really don't know. So one month you can make a bunch of money and the next month there's nothing. Especially with me being in the natural hair space, which I can only speak from that point of view, it's really difficult to even secure these brand deals because natural hair brands don't work with natural hair influencers like that. So now you have another level of hardship in terms of how to make this work financially. So a lot of influencers are in a lot of debt or are really stressed out. And okay, hold on, girl, I need to do my eyebrows. And I can't talk and do eyebrows at the same time. I'm already really bad at it. Okay, good enough. So if you attach your happiness to either success or to financial independence, then how can you really be happy when you're struggling financially? Like I said, a lot of us are either working a bunch of different jobs or thinking about going back to work. And I know what you're thinking. This is a life that you chose. You have a choice. Go back to work, etc., etc. And that's true. This is a life that we chose. We do want to make this work. We do have the option of going back to work. But imagine what that would make us feel going back to work after you thought that, say, betting on yourself would work. Now, that alone would make you unhappy. At least it would make me unhappy. It would make me feel like a failure because I don't want to go back to work, for example. And if it comes down to it and I have to go back to work, then I will be very unhappy. I don't want to answer to somebody else. There's a reason why I quit. So I guess we can talk about the mental strain that comes with being an influencer. I think I touched base on it just a little bit earlier when I talked about having so many opinions thrown at you, so it's hard for you to even be yourself. Mentally speaking, it's very draining. So on top of you not being able to turn off your brain, walk away from your work, and having everyone have an opinion as to what you should do, how you should live your life, opening yourself up to that kind of, if you're not able to separate yourself from that kind of almost abuse, I would say, because some people are not very nice online. Some people can be very out of line when it comes to what they choose to say behind a keyboard to another human being. And if you're not able to separate the two and detach yourself, it becomes toxic very quickly. And I see a lot of influencers sometimes having a hard time navigating it, and they are crumbling down, they're crying, and people are so mean in the comments. And it's like, they're human. They're having a human experience, and you can't take that away from them. It's not nice. I think we are human at the end of the day. And just like people in general, people in real life struggle with their happiness, struggle with their mental health, struggle with their work. I think it's the same thing that gets reflected as an influencer. And one thing that I realized quickly after I quit my job is that being an entrepreneur, being a businesswoman, being someone who is doing their own thing, it doesn't get any easier, especially when you have character flaws that were already there. So anything that I was struggling with before, productivity, with keeping up with deadlines, being able to navigate a space where you have to have strong boundaries, if you already struggle with these things, it's just gonna get amplified. So quickly, the first thing I started doing is really being intentional with my mental health. And I had already started that journey a couple of years ago. So grateful that I had already started therapy. So I really started learning more about myself, learning more about just who I am as a person, and getting deeper to the core of me. I am so grateful that I started doing that, because it's becoming more obvious that I need to be on top of my mental health so that I can show up and be the best version of myself on my platform. Obviously, no one wants to operate from a place of depression, from a place of unhappiness, because it does show up on your platforms. If you're coming on here and you are unhappy, you're complaining about everything. And by the way, this video is not to complain about my life or anything like that. I'm actually in a very good space now in terms of my work. No, I'm not making any money, but I just have a plan for 2023. And I'm just so grateful that I'm in a position that I can have plans and work towards them. You know, I have the time to do that. I have the time that I can dedicate to my passion. So I'm very optimistic for the future, but no one wants to hear someone sit and complain about how things are not going well. And a lot of the time, that's the reality with a lot of influencers. And you can't really be yourself and be that person that comes on and just complain, even though that's what you really want to do. So you end up putting this face like everything is okay, even though it's not. Oh, that looks really pretty. Okay, we like it. Neutral looks are my favorite looks. In terms of working on my mindset, working on myself, working on my character flaws, another thing that I started doing is educating myself more. Not from talking to other influencers, because not everyone knows what they're doing out here. And I'm not about that life. I started reading a lot of books, a lot of business books, financial independence books. And these books have been getting me straight, girl. There's 2 books that I would recommend. Well, first one I really want to recommend is called The E-Myth. And it is such a great book. I would recommend for any entrepreneur or business owners, because it basically breaks down what you need to do to have a business and to have system in your business that's going to help you, especially if you're a small business owner and you wear so many different hats. Because at the end of the day, I feel like one thing that a lot of us struggle with is outsourcing things that we've always done. No one can do it as good as we can. So we think, hold on, I need to do my eyeliner. I can't do my eyeliner and talk at the same time, okay? I've been talking a lot more about my journey as a new entrepreneur on Instagram. And first of all, I'm so grateful to have a platform where I can express myself, because that's another thing. Being an influencer is that it's a very lonely job. Right now, I am sitting in a room talking to what? Talking to a camera. And if you don't have other people in the industry that you know that are friends with you, then you are really lonely. No one understands your experience. Sometimes the audience can think that you are just living la vida loca. So it's hard to express how you truly feel, and not being able to have an outlet to be able to speak and express yourself and get these emotions out, that can really eat you alive. Like I said, I've made a point to be very honest and open on my platform. So with Instagram, and I think TikTok too. I think I definitely need to like break out of my shell a little bit on TikTok. But on that platform, I think that I want to bring a little bit more of this journey, the rawness, the difficulties, the behind the scenes of influencing. Because I don't think people really understand how difficult this job is mentally. And that can definitely make someone feel really unhappy and really alone in their life, especially if you're not making any money from it. I don't know if you can tell, but I definitely value financial independence. There's a reason why I quit my job to be an influencer, is because obviously I see the potential here and I want to make this work. Because at work, there's a cap, you know. You have a salary range, and unless you go to another position or find something else, I want to be in control of my destiny, which is why I took the leap. And some people, you know, finances don't really matter to them, but for me it does. And as I'm trying to figure out this journey, my plan is to be obviously happy, but also happy in different areas of my life, mentally, spiritually, financially speaking. And I also look forward to building a business that is meaningful, something that I can look towards and be like, wow, I did that, I built that, I'm happy that I did that. So of course I'm figuring out my own path in this influencer space, but I think we all are. A lot of influencers are. So to answer the question, are influencers truly happy? The answer is maybe. It depends on the influencer. It depends on where they are in their journey. It depends on how much they are struggling with their craft. It depends on if they're white or black. And right now, there's a lot of people that are rushing to becoming influencers, not truly understanding the industry. So it's diluting the industry even more, with a lot of people that have no education in this space thinking that it's easy to create content, and then reality sets in and it's like, oh snap, I didn't know it was like that, son. Of course this video is not here to discourage anybody to become an influencer. I think it's a great career path. I don't think it should be your final destination. I think it should be a stepping stone for you to get somewhere else. But just know that it's difficult, and I will highly discourage someone to become just a natural hair influencer. Now that I feel strongly about. This is my regret, so to speak. This is one of my regrets, I would say, in terms of being an influencer. I should have diversified a long time ago, because natural hair is not it, girl. Don't do it. Anyway, I think my makeup is done. Do you want to see my hair? My hair is almost a week old wash and go. I will be washing my hair tomorrow. Let me fix it up for you so it looks decent. I think it still looks kind of cute. It is a little dry, but it's okay. I'm gonna wash her tomorrow and she's gonna spring right back. Influencing is a very complicated world. It can be difficult mentally, emotionally, and financially to navigate. So not all influencers are happy. And a lot of the times, the things that you see are influencers living a different lives. And I've also noticed that by reaching out to influencers. There's this one influencer I met in person. You know, we've been following each other for a really long time. And that was, again, last year and earlier this year, I made a whole point of networking and talking to other influencers. And that's when I realized some influencers are really different in real life than they are on their platforms. That's this. I've been following you for years and I actually don't know who you are. And I thought I did know who you are because I've been following you for so long. So keep that in mind when you follow people. Sometimes it's not who they are that they put out a different version of themselves. Anyways, to each his own. I don't see it that way. I find it's already difficult to navigate the space, so I might as well be myself. I might as well release myself from the stress of being someone else. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it sparked a nice little discussion in the comments below. If you are another influencer, I would love to hear from you. Are you happy? And I know happiness is not one of those things that is permanent. It fluctuates. It depends on the day, the season, the time, the month, the year. You know, you got to work at it. And that's definitely what I do. I work towards being happy. I work towards my happiness. And I try to surround myself with things that makes me happy. I'm just coming out of season of depression when I first quit my job. And I'm feeling much better now because I worked at being happy. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye, girl.